After a disastrous midweek for Scottish clubs in Europe and a lot of booing coming out of Glasgow, we decided to put up a poll. Who's worse between Russell Martin and the Celtic board? We got over 1,000 votes. We're going to dive into some comments, dive into the results. But yeah, appreciate it, folks. Appreciate the comments, appreciate the results and the participation here. But I mean, I'll give my thoughts here. Martin won 53% to 47%. I mean, I'd love to sit here and say that the Russell Martin should be nowhere near being the worst out of these two options, but the reality is Russell Martin has come into Rangers and it feels like we've taken steps back. It feels like we have spent money backing a manager that will not be here in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of in disbelief how Beale got backed the most out of like Gerrard in his last season, compare it to Beale, compare it to Gio, compare it to Clement, a guy with a proven track record, may I add. Beale gets backed to all those guys, and then the next guy that gets backed is Martin. Now, the only thing that gives me faith about that is the 49ers took over, right? And that maybe they'll back every manager, and it won't be a case of, here, Russell Martin gets sacked, and then the next three won't get backed. But the reality is, I don't think Rangers. I'm not really expecting us to spend like 20 odd million every window, especially if you keep getting it wrong. Right, you can't keep getting it wrong. So for me, Russell Martin has been a disaster. It literally couldn't have been any worse. Like, yeah, theoretically, right, you could have lost to Motherwell and Dundee. Yeah, Panathinaikos could have knocked us out in the second qualifying round. But that's theatrics. You know what I mean? That's what ifs, maybes. We have to deal in the absolutes, and the absolutes are is we've got 2 points out of 6. We're playing pish, and it feels like everybody he's brought into the club, he's like sucked the life out of them, right? And not the way Lucy Pinder sucks the life out of him, just the way he fucking implements his shitey style of football on these players. I mean, look at Ant-Man, right? Guy came in with no training whatsoever. Unreal against Victoria Pilsen. Couple of training sessions, pish. Anyway, results. Martin wins 53%, Celtic board 47%. The Celtic board have won. I mean, how many trophies has this like board won in their time overseeing Celtic? Right? Too many for me to sit here and count because that would depress me. All right? Russell Martin has done hee-haw. I can't even believe it's this close. It's ridiculous that it's this close. But we're going to get into some comments. Jackie, what's he saying? Let's be real, I remember the 90s well, and the board are trying to run a stable ship. I understand we need a new winger and a striker, but we've been spoiled with success in the last 13 years. Yeah, can anyone fault that? Well, let's see what the two comments say. I think most of the support were born late 2000s and expect success. Don't know what failure is. Like you, I'm from the 90s and remember all the shit that happened. I don't want Celtic to ever go there again and use the money we have wisely. The problem is clubs know we have it and rip the piss out of used by hiking their player prices up. Right. Yeah, I mean, so far we've got a couple of comments, right? And I tell you what, these two guys are pretty correct. It's like, well, what I would say is, I wouldn't say, he says like, I think most of the support were born late 2000s. Right? Most of the support, right, is not born in the late 2000s. I'm not saying there isn't a decent amount, you know, people die, people age, and then obviously the new generation comes through. But in terms of the percentage of Celtic fans that were born in like the late 2000s to now, it's not going to be that much. But the reality is, say you're born in 1995, right? That puts you 30-year-old, 29-year-old. That puts you about, what, 2010? That puts you at 15. So even if you're like 30, right? You don't have to be born in like 2009 to only understand dominance. Like most people, like of their adult years, I'm not saying you have to be an adult to understand football and all that. I mean, realistically, I think you can just get to like the age of like, I mean 7, 8, 9, 10. But you know, if we're looking at it objectively, most people that would have supported Celtic in their adult lifehood would have been experienced dominance left, right, and centre. So there is an element of people being spoiled. Like but I think what people have to understand, if you live through the 90s, right, the late 80s into the 90s where Rangers dominated, right, which would be fucking great, wouldn't it? I want that. I want a piece of that pie, right? But if you live through the 90s, right, that means, I mean, the 90s are what, 25 years ago, right? Over 25, near 26 years ago. The start of the 90s, right, is 35 years ago, which means if you were 18 in 1990, that makes you what, like 53, 50, no, 51 years old? Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. What is going on? Actually, not fucking makes you. Wait, whoa. I'm 53. Wait. Hold up, wait a minute. 1990, 18. I mean, yeah, 50, 53, 53. That's crazy. You know, it just shows you, like, so a lot of the older generation wouldn't have experienced. Well, they would have experienced the dominance, but it would have been Rangers, and then, of course, now. You know, I understand both sides of the argument about the board, but I don't think you can. They don't warrant the outrage. But at the same time, I am. It's not like it's just people who are in their 20s and their teens that are bashing this board. You're seeing people in their 40s and 50s bashing the board. That's what it is. What's Matty Miles got to say? What is it they used to say? Most successful club in the world, especially lately. I've been going from the 60s through good and bad. Never too high, never too low. These self-entitled children of today accept everything today. Never had to go without. I've got shoes going to Parkhead longer than them, and my shoes have more sense than them. If we were getting beat every week, they'd be the first to find something else to do. Theirs is a throwaway world. Yeah, Matty Miles. I actually understand that, right? Because see the fact Celtic are dominating. How many Celtic fans would just disappear if times got tough? How many people are just on the bandwagon because they're dominating? We'd have to wait and see. I don't think the situation. I hope it does do a complete 180 and Celtic don't dominate, but it would be interesting to see because we've seen the top flight attendance for Celtic games when Rangers weren't in the top flight. It was down, and that's factual. No one can dispute that. At least Martin is trying. Martin is trying. What, the board not trying? If this is the Celtic board not trying, then what would they do if they did try? But that's what we want. Martin could be asked to walk out of Ibrox soon after the Celtic game if it's a defeat. John, both Celtic Rangers are poor as each other, and seeing them get humbled and brought down to earth in Europe is all the more sweeter. What do we make of that for John then? Both as poor as each other. The problem is that players like Kyogo need to have understudies who are ready to step in when they leave. Celtic's recruitment is failing in that respect. If you look at clubs like Ajax, they have a revolving door of talent and a production line of young players who are ready and able to step up as soon as a first team player leaves. We're the Peel hard one, but Celtic still win almost everything, so would say Martin. Yeah. Matty Miles again. That's a board that's won title after title against the only guy that wanted the job because he didn't have a successful career to ruin. Let me think about that. The board won fuck all though. The managers and players win trophies, and the fact we still managed that considering the board have been taking more and more away from the team each year is a real achievement. Matty Miles says club don't run without it. We could have had what the other mob had. What makes you think we aren't exactly the same as them across the road, and what makes you think we won't end up the same way either? The fact is we got very lucky with how bad that lot have been, and the occasional huge transfer fee coming in. But that still doesn't change the fact they've been taking more at the club than they've been putting in for years now. I don't understand how he thinks the board, the Celtic board are getting fucking strays here. It's actually insane. I mean, the board won fuck all. No, the board won everything, just like the players and the manager. The board are the people that put the manager in place and the players in place to win trophies. The disrespect that's getting fired, it's actually fucking insane. A load of other comments, but we've read enough here. Hopefully that'll do you for your wee Saturday morning. There'll be a lot to talk about later on, I'm sure of it. Who'll be top? Will it be Hearts? Will it be Celtic? Will it be someone else? Who knows? But until next time, peace.